Talking Tuesday. It's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Talking Tuesday. Show you how to do it right.
Yo, welcome to Token Tuesday. This podcast here, y'all know the deal. We got real cannabis players talking about real cannabis issues. And y'all know how I feel about that. No fakers in the house. We got real cannabis players. And we have a guest today. And our guest today is Ian. And Ian is, we just going to run you down with Ian's history and what this brother does in the industry and how important he has been to the industry and for the advancement of this industry and what role he plays.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it like I always do. I got Keith to my left. I got Marco and Ruby to my right. You know what I'm saying? And we here to kick it off this evening to y'all and give you the best we can give you.
So let me tell you about Ian Rasman.
But hold on before we get started. I'm gonna pass around these icicles right here. These are icicles. These are California cannabis finest. We got it laced here with the nice fine keef, with the oil laced on there, painted with the oil, handcrafted. Only the best grows in the West. Y'all know what's going on with California cannabis. We're going to slide this down. Let Ian grab one.
There you go, Ian. Go right ahead.
Hey, and while y'all pass that out, let me let you know something about Ian Rasman. He is an inventor, a patent holder, and a lifelong entrepreneur with over 35 years of experience in technology startups and senior management. I want to go. Ian specializes in serving high-risk industries, including cannabis, psychedelics. As a merchant service specialist, he is an expert in technology supporting credit card processing, text-to-pay solution, cashless ATMs, check processing, POS systems, ATM machines. Ian also contributes significantly to the cannabis community through leadership roles in national organization. As chair of financial services at the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, he helps regulate cannabis business grow by providing resources and advocating for industry-wide unity. Additionally, he is the executive director and president of Los Angeles NORML, one of the oldest regional chapters of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Ian is particularly proud of Los Angeles NORML Compassionate Medical Cannabis Donation Program, which collaborates with the legal cannabis industry and non-profit partners to provide medicine to veterans and patients in need. Over the past 4 years, the program has donated more than $5 million worth of medical cannabis.
Wow.
Ian, welcome.
Welcome, Ian. Welcome.
Good
now, that's
stuff,
a resume
Ian.
right there.
Hell of a resume.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell of a resume.
You know?
I'm so thrilled to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Oh, thank you. I tell you, it's a beautiful thing giving away weed, right? Like we all know, everybody here is giving away weed before to somebody, and it's an amazing feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when those people need it.
Especially when they need it, and they're thankful and grateful. Oh yeah. Yes. I completely agree.
That's right. So we're going to start kicking off this thing. Yep. Ian, just tell us, the audience, what got you into cannabis? I always like to know, what was the pivotal point in your life where you said you wanted to try or experience or do anything with cannabis?
Yeah, I'd say cannabis got into me about 35 or more years ago. So I grew up in Hawaii, and it's cannabis kind of all over the place. And I grew up there in the 70s and 80s, and it's really pretty illegal, seriously illegal. Even though it was growing everywhere, I mean, it literally grew wild. You might stumble across it sometimes. And I never smoked it there. I never tried it there. I was such the victim of the war on drugs in the 70s and 80s. I was like indoctrinated with that shit on TV, and I believed it. I want my brain on drugs, So like I didn't touch that till I came to California in the mid 80s. Went to college here, and
you had to come to Cali to get to get infected.
At least he came to the Mecca and got some.
Yeah.
Met peers with peer pressure.
Yeah, and I went on very quickly from college to a career in the software industry, and I moved to Europe, and my boss was like, "You can go live anywhere you want." So I was like, "Amsterdam," and he's like, "Yeah, go." And I was like, "Yeah." So I moved to Amsterdam in 1996, and I really woke up to cannabis, I would say, when I moved there, because everything that I thought I knew from my time here in California, I realized I wasn't really as informed about much of anything as I thought I was. So I think my early cannabis education really came out of Holland in the 90s, where I really started understanding that it was just a medicine, and it was just also a normal part of life too. That was the thing that I understood. It just wasn't a big deal. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Some people like to drink, some people don't. Whatever. Yeah, exactly. So I think my time in Holland was amazing, and I came back to California, and California had just legalized for
Medical purposes.
Yeah, medical purposes.
1996, Prop 215.
Yeah. So that was all kind of happening here while I was in Amsterdam. Then I came back, and it was kind of a little alive, but I didn't still go into the industry until about 2016, 2015.
Okay.
I got my very first cannabis client for credit card processing here in LA, and so I didn't even know what I had stumbled upon to at the time, quite honestly. And then I kind of went full time. A couple of years later, went full time into the cannabis industry.
Okay.
That's so dope.
Okay. So we really can call in and late bloomer, huh?
I was a big time late bloomer.
Hey, but that's all
I mean,
right. You
35.
jumped in. You jumped in with
I was
both
like
feet.
18.
Came in with
Yeah.
both feet.
Jumped in with both feet.
Hell yeah.
And passion can strike at any time in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be around, and I'm gonna just kind of drop some things on you, like to be around some industry vets, right? Because I was around industry vets. I sat with Jack Herrera's and the Ed Rosenthals and the Louis Leps, and the Eddie Leps and the Don Duncans in this part of town. These were the guys that I kind of, I guess you could say, leached information off of. I would extract information from them because they were the information pieces to gain all of that information. So when you surround yourself by giants like that, as I know you have in this industry, you gain a lot of information fast. Did you find yourself, when being surrounded by giants, finding yourself like getting this fast track education with cannabis, to kind of the top?
Yeah, for sure. I am so fortunate to have met some of these people that you're talking about, and some of these OG people that really started the movement here in California. And it's unbelievable to be around these people, that they saw this that many years ago, that they saw where we needed to go, and we're still trying to get there, of course, but we're a lot further along today.
Yes.
Right. And thanks to those people too.
Absolutely.
Those early people
Absolutely.
that came in and started this. I think very quickly, as soon as I realized that I wanted to get into the industry, I also realized that I needed to get involved in some community level involvement that was not selfish, and it was, community building. And so I latched onto Normal very quickly. And for those that don't know Normal was founded in 1970. Coincidentally, so was I. And so we were sort of destined to come together. And so I really spent time getting involved with Normal and finding out what I could do locally here in LA and statewide in California and nationally. And I really felt the calling over there to Normal. And the thing that people don't perhaps realize about NORML. NORML represents the consumers. It's
Absolutely.
us, the smokers. It is not the industry. NORML does not represent the industry.
Absolutely not.
I mean, NORML would love to see a thriving, growing industry, but that's not the focus. NORML is for the consumers. It's for us. It's to not get arrested, to have the freedom to consume where you need to. It's for appropriate taxes. It's as consumers, not fighting for the industry person's taxes, but fighting for us when we walk into the store to pay.
Absolutely.
So a very consumer-focused organization, and I felt that was where I wanted to put my time and energy into.
And that's a great place to start with the consumers. I think what has kept me surviving in this industry as a small business, being in this industry 30 years now, deep in the industry, I've always been concerned about the end user. And people will hear me talk about that all the time. I could care less about, I won't say I could care less about the hustler, but I'm always concerned about who the hustler is providing to, right? So my concern was that I provide the hustler, and I'm talking back in my early days, I provide the hustler with the best cannabis so that their end users would be happy to go see them again and again and again, and it keeps that cycle going. What I love about NORML, when I first got in the industry, or shall I say when I first got into the legal part of the industry, and I opened up my shop in 2004. Was when I opened up my first shop here in the city of Los Angeles in 2004. It's ironic because NORML, then Cal NORML, was where you let people know who you were and where you were to reach you. So that we were the shop owner, the shop owner, would advertise through Cal NORML.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we're talking 2004. And that's how all of the patients, because like you say, NORML and Cal NORML really focused on the patients. And so they wanted to make sure that the patients were aware of where their access was.
That's right.
And they made sure that, and I had 6 locations back then, and they made sure that they knew, Cal NORML made sure through us being able to go on their site and, put our information in, our address, our name of our shops. And that's how we have it. There was no weed maps.
No.
There was no weed maps. And if y'all had been around long enough, there were no weed trackers. If y'all remember weed trackers in the game, because I was in there when it was weed trackers. This was before Leafly and any of those companies existed. So Cal NORML and NORML have always been a very strong, and to me, a strong force and a very pivotal organization. If you guys out there are not familiar with NORML, go on and the website and check them out. Now, it's not spelled like the regular NORML. It's spelled NORML. Correct? Am I correct?
NORML.
ML. That's right. I'm sorry.
The
ML.
A at the end. NORML. You go to norml.org, and you can click on your state, and you can dive into what's happening in your state with the laws in your particular state, and to your point, a list of places where you can go if you're looking for dispensaries or for attorneys or for services or whatnot. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's another question I want to ask. The fact that NORML is looking from the consumer standpoint, some of the regulations that we have as far as like cannabis only being good for a year, or some of the packaging, what do you think about like this modern market versus even what you saw in Amsterdam or what you envision the market to be?
Yeah, it's sort of a shame about the product expiration dates, quite honestly. I mean, anybody here in the room ever smoked some weed older than a year? Y'all feeling okay? Yeah. Worked? Did what you expected? Yeah, exactly. So it is. I'm not sure that I love those expiration dates set that they are, but it's more or less kind of amazing that there is a market. I mean, That's the amazing thing, and the thing that I try to remember all the time is it's easy to complain about a lot of the things in any market because there are very few markets that have done well in rolling out cannabis, whether it's issues of social equity or access or licensing or rules for or the laws for consumers. No one's really done a great job. Everybody's piecemealing it. Some better than others. But we have legal markets. We've set the path for the rest of the world. Don't forget that the rest of the world looks at us. I mean, we drive so much culture in the world through our movies and our music and our television and all that. And everything that's cultural here in America spreads. So this cannabis culture is clearly spreading around the world. We're seeing countries now that are legalizing. I do a lot of international traveling, going to cannabis events, and countries are legalizing all the time now. Germany is coming online and going to be the biggest, one of the biggest markets in the world. Yeah. So cannabis is spreading, and I'm thrilled that we have a market at all.
Touch on that really quick. Just to add this to Ian, what he touched based on. If you guys do follow him, he has a really impressive calendar. He's one of the very few people that when you actually log on, check out his calendar, which is kind of cool because you can pretty much follow him around and attend like any event that he's at. But he'll let you know if he's in Germany, Australia, Thailand, Canada, Texas, God knows where he's at. But it's one of the more impressive calendars and people to kind of follow around, especially if you want to learn about what everyone around the world is kind of doing and how it correlates with what we got going on.
And
Yeah,
I like
thank you.
the
Thanks for the shout out on the calendar. It really is. I get so many compliments on that all the time that it's an excellent resource for those of us that are looking to meet up with each other. You know, if you want to know what the New York market's like, well, you better go hit the ground in New York and go meet some people and shake some hands, right? We're old school. We like to shake hands with people we've been doing business with, right? So show up and go to an event.
And that's a great thing because it's really informative. I think what we lack, although we are in the information world now these days, I think we lack with cannabis a lot of information. It's crazy how we are in the technological world where information is at your fingertips, right? But still people don't know a lot about the cannabis industry. It's like that is a hidden information. It's like still the information isn't out enough like it should be, right?
Well, I think that's why they block it so much. Look at how they always ban you if you put too much on Instagram.
Oh well, yeah, they shadow ban me on Instagram. You know, California Cannabis WC, they shadow ban us. You know what I'm saying? So now I might have to go with Elon Musk and go to Twitter where he ain't shadow banning and he letting you advertise full blast on Twitter. So hey, check for us on Twitter now. But yeah, information is at your fingertips. The problem is that in the industry, there is so much of a lack of pushing education is what I would say as an owner and operator. And I'm different from a lot of owners and operators in the industry because I am a very present owner and operator. I am in my stores every day. So I'm not one of those that where my employees never met me. Now, I know owners, their employees, they've never met their employees, and their employees have never met them. I like to be more involved with the people. Like, we talked about what I loved about Normal is that they're about the end user. I'm about the end user. Yeah. I shake hands with my customers and patients. I talk to them. They know me. I know them. You know, I'm always asking for feedback. You know, young lady came into the shop, my Crenshaw location, 7415 Crenshaw Boulevard, came into the shop the other day, and she bought some pre-rolls. Now, she normally buys an ounce, but today she was buying pre-rolls. And so I met her for the first time during that experience, but she had been a customer that comes through the shop often. She was unsatisfied with this sativa ounce that we had. And I was like, okay, what was, kind of get some feedback, find out what the problem is. And so I said, I tell you what, I said, had one of my staff product specialists take her name and information down. So I told her, she says, well, I almost smoked it all, but it really wasn't up to par the way you normally have it, and I like it. So me as an owner, I take pride in what I do. I take pride in my product, my work, and my company, and its reputation, and my reputation. And so I comped her an ounce, which she wasn't expecting. She was like, no, I didn't come for that. I said, no, you were unsatisfied. And one thing I don't like is an unsatisfied customer in my business. I'm the type of person that wants everybody to be satisfied. I'm not one of those owners who be like, well, you can't satisfy everybody. You probably can't, but you damn sure can try.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those owners that will damn sure try to satisfy everybody. I don't believe in that you can't satisfy everybody, because I've been in parties and places where I satisfied everybody. So I believe different. And as long as I carry that attitude as an owner and operator, my biggest concern, which is my end user, which is that person that comes through that door and on the other side of that counter is a very satisfied patient or a customer with the quality of service and product that they receive from our location. So my hats are off to Normal that has always done that type of service, education, information, and the things that are important to the industry that we as owners and operators are not providing to the people, because that is a big piece for me. I want the people on that side to be highly educated about the product they're consuming, why you are consuming that, what that product can actually do for you. There have been so many years, you know, you're old enough to know as well as myself, to know that there have been so many years people have been smoking cannabis for many different reasons, but they really didn't know the reasons that they were smoking it. Just, you know, come home stressed out, and so they pick up a joint and hit the joint. They wasn't realizing that they were using it for stress relief, or they was using it for a relaxer. But that's exactly what they were using it for, right? You know, same medicinal effect that you would want out of anything that you would consume to calm you down, relax you, make you settle in. Some people do a beer, some people do a glass of wine. Hey, us in the industry, we do cannabis. But that's what I really like about Normal. Now, what can you, if you were to say your highest point in this industry that you could kind of just like hang your hat on and say, this was one of my greatest accomplishments, or one of my, I was involved in this, that was really something you could hang your hat on, and what would that be?
Hands down, without question, the medical cannabis donation program, of which there's a huge team of people. We have a few key members at LA Normal. Shout out to Eric Opel and Shelly McKay, my partners on this, and all of the brands that have come through to deliver product. So, I mean, it's no small thing to have the cannabis industry come together and start, you know, providing product on a regular basis and on a recurring basis. And so that's been huge. And, you know, those programs that we set in motion are still running today. And so, you know, every month there's donation programs and people are getting a donation bag. And so that lights me up.
So if you're a brand, how, and just say I'm a brand.
Yeah.
And I don't know about your program. How do I find out about your program, or how does your program reach me?
Yeah, well, you can go to our website at lanormal.org, LANORML, with that different spelling, .org, and you can read about the program there, and, you know, you can reach out to myself and or any of the people I mentioned. This is a program that's run by the state of The program's not run by the state of California. California has enacted legislation that enables us as the industry to participate in programs that are set up by organizations such as LA Normal. And we're not the only ones, by the way. There's a lot of great people out there that have taken advantage of this SB 34 legislation to donate medicine. And in fact, there are a lot of people that have been donating medicine since way before there was legislation
Absolutely.
to do it. So
That's
just to be
right.
clear,
That's right.
a lot of people have been at this for a very, very long time.
This industry, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Ian, because back in the early days, we're talking 2006 and 7, when somebody would get raided in the city of Los Angeles, there would be owners like myself and others that would grab a quarter pound, half a pound if we had it, and we would rush it over to the owner who just got raided so that they can reopen their shops. That was something we did on a regular. Which the industry,
That is
we were a lot more tight-knit back then than we are now. It's just a bunch of Wall Streeters in the industry and a bunch of real estate guys in the industry. So they don't carry that same camaraderie that we had back then, or compassion. And the reason why we call it the Compassionate Use Act, because everything was based around compassion. That really came from that original hippie love type thing that surrounded our industry. And we did that. Unfortunately, California Cannabis has not been a part of that new donation program, but after today, family, you can best believe we will be a part of it, donating cannabis to those that need it. We did it back in the day, and due to, and unfortunately, I want you to repeat that bill, because people are unaware that bill exists. Some owners and operators are unaware that bill exists, because we believe as owners and operators, we can't give weed away. The state has bound us through our licensing mechanism that we cannot give cannabis away, although we want to.
They changed in 2020. The law went into effect in 2020, approximately March 2020. It's named the Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary Act. SB 34 is the bill number. And of course, those two are legends right there. I mean, those two people deserve huge credit. Number one, for all the compassionate work that they did during the AIDS crisis in San Francisco. But they were a huge part of the whole cultural revolution, right? I mean, it was the normalization of cannabis as a medicine. This was instrumental at the time in the culture that grew out of California. They were right there at the beginning. So that it's named appropriately after those beautiful people. So the way that the program works, or the way that the legislation works, is that all of the participating companies, whether they're brands, dispensaries, cultivators, everybody that donates product, you can go into whatever point of sale system or whatever system you're using, tag metric, tag SB34 that you're donating it, and then everybody is able to deduct the state tax that they would have normally owed on the product. So like your retail tax. So if you go in there and you mark it as SB34 donation, then you don't owe the retail tax on it anymore. And so it's properly coordinating it with all the other partners down the supply chain to make sure that we've taken off all the taxes, not just your retail tax, but take off all the taxes. And now we've got, $100 worth of product that's really going to cost everybody $50 to donate. So it lowers the cost of the donation. I mean, the law could go so much further, right? Like you could write it off, or, all these great things that would be really, really appropriate. But this is the way that it works today. And that you can do it is a big thing, right? Like California is the only place in the whole world that has enabled any sort of legislation like this. Wow. So we are, yet again, another example here in California of, leading the way on something like this. And program that we've built at LA Normal, we built it to be copied and replicated. We've put in standard operating procedures and all these things, and we have it on our website. We give it away. If you want to run a program, we have the roadmap and the manuals. Take them, copy them. Please set up another program. I mean, let's just give out more medicine to more people. We all know it's getting destroyed and thrown away, and it's like terrible,
so
right?
is there a limit that brands and dispensaries can donate?
No, it has to be donated before the expiration date that we were talking about earlier. So it actually has to be, it has to be handed to the consumer by that expiration date. So, it's got to be like down through the supply chain, weeks ahead of time for that.
So, Ian, you briefly touched on the fact that we would take away the taxes, but you alluded to what we are bound to paying taxes. Can you expound more on that, why we cannot write off? Our audience have kind of briefly heard that before, and we talked about it, but you want to deep dive into it for us of why we as cultivators, as shop owners, as distributors, and shop owners as well, why we cannot write off anything.
You're absolutely right. Nobody can write off a large portion of normal expenses that everyday businesses in America would write off. Cannabis businesses cannot write them off because of a section in the IRS tax code called 280E. 280E more or less says that if you're involved in illegal activity, then you can't deduct your taxes. So of course, we're not really involved in illegal activity anymore, are we? It's legal, but there's, still confusion at the federal government. No big surprise.
And that's correct.
It's a scheduling issue, right? Because it's a Schedule 1, it falls under 280E.
Exactly.
Anything below that doesn't.
Exactly. You're exactly right. It's Schedule 1 drug, and there, according to that, there is no medical use, high potential for abuse, and, the end of society, basically. Schedule 1.
That's crazy that still exists today, right? I think about back in the day when we were under the direction of Prop 215 and SB 420. And of course, it's legal with the state, but not with the federal government. And we were raided. Our industry was raided on a regular. And I remember, I was raided, then arrested, then spent time in prison. The crazy part about it is when I talk to people about that, and I always make sure I punctuate that I was a licensed owner, not doing anything illegal. Like, I was a licensed owner. I was a pre-ICO registered. Every shop I had was a registered pre-ICO shop with my license, with my tax registration certificate, with my BTRC hanging in the window, my documents, corporate document, everything intact, and still get arrested.
Followed
and
every
still go to
rule
jail.
possible.
That's the crazy part about how this works and how it has been working. The fact that we can sit here today, you can sit here and describe to us a tax code called 280E that doesn't recognize, basically in theory, doesn't recognize cannabis for medical uses, but we have a plethora of information now, because we are now allowed, I think we're going into 6 years or 5 years of being able to research cannabis, although we know we've had research far beyond that in Europe and other countries who have researched this over 30 years, and Israel has researched cannabis over 30 years, and we all know what cannabis truly does medicinally, and some of us from personal experience, right? But to sit here and still be able to talk about 280E not recognizing cannabis as a legit entity, although these people pay an arm and a leg in taxes, in licensing fees, in the regulatory system, because that regulatory system within itself costs a lot to operate within that system, and all of the things that they have to do, but to this day cannot write that off. Super shocking and amazing that this still is a Schedule 1 drug in 2024, although well over half the country has voted in some form of legalization, be it medical or be it adult use. It exists in our country. Although we know people in every state is consuming cannabis of some form and fashion, and has been for years.
Ian, Normal actually has information on the rescheduling of cannabis. As far as I know, we were promised from the Democrats that it was going to be passed before the election. So where exactly are we at now? Because it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, and because we're not protesting, nobody's saying anything.
Yeah, where are we at with politics today? That's a super great question. So wide ranging there. Thank you, Keith. Yes, we've been promised rescheduling, haven't we? And all the parties of the government have put their collective heads together and said that it should be rescheduled to Schedule 3. So I think that this is progress. It's not, of course, what anybody here in the room would want or expects, but the legalization effort has been ongoing for 54 years now. So it's small little victories all the time. This is yet again another small little victory. When it happens, we've been promised that it's coming, but we haven't had it yet. It was supposed to be, you're right, supposed to happen before the end of the term. So I don't know what's going on there. We shall see. I think.
What's your prediction?
Right.
I think it eventually will get rescheduled to Schedule 3, but I wouldn't even have any guess on when that might happen.
Because Congress is now going to be Republicanly led, Senate and House.
Yeah.
You saying that if they don't get this passed before they leave out as a last bill, it might not even happen in this election cycle. Because I just need the audience to really understand, this 54-year wait that's going on.
Yeah. Speaking personally, I think that rescheduling will really happen sometime soon. Soon, I don't know if that means this administration or the next administration, but I think it really is on a path to happening. Enough people in the country, to your point earlier, have supported legalization efforts state by state, and the popular opinion is hovering somewhere approaching 80% of people that think cannabis should be, decriminalized and not made all the hype that it is about today. So I think we'll get there. I don't know when, and I don't know what's to come for us in politics either. I think I don't know that cannabis is going to be a front thing for anybody.
One quick thing before you jump in. My prediction is that it'll be done in 2 years. That's my prediction. I don't think administration, be it Democrat or Republican, really has anything to do with it. I think it's the push of the country and what we want as a people. And if we speak loud enough as a people, we can get this thing done in a couple of years. It's just how loud do we want to raise our voice? I guarantee you, if we did something, and people listen to me out there, if we did something so dynamic as California does some rally and make sure that Arizona and Seattle and Oregon and New Mexico, we all start at the same time on the same identical day, and we all do a rally that just catches fire all over the media, we begin to force this public opinion, and then we start to see that, wait a minute, these people have actually taken the time to complain or whatever, rally or do something surrounding cannabis, and then it just catches like wildfire throughout the United States. And if we could get it from New York to California, for everybody to take part in this participation of this rally, that goes on in every state simultaneously, I guarantee you will get the ear of the administration. We just have to be dynamically willing to do things like this in order to make a difference. One thing I know for a fact, and being one of the leaders in the cannabis industry here in LA, and how we dynamically push this through everybody coming together. Because that was the only way we got Measure M passed, social equity passed,
Yep.
and this initiative passed, was making sure that everybody was involved.
Yeah.
It's going to take that kind of push in order to influence, because you got to keep in mind, everybody now that's coming into this new administration, they pay attention to the media, and they care about what the media says. They pay attention to social media, and they care because they're a part of social media. You got to look how many times Trump tweets on Twitter. And so he's paying attention to these tweets and Twitters and stuff like this and what's going on. And the people that he's bringing into his administration does too. So I think that if we push hard enough and strong enough as an industry, as a people, consumers, owners, cultivators, everybody, even those who are just sympathizers of the industry, I'd say 2 years. That's my prediction. Marco?
I agree.
Yeah, now my prediction, I think maybe like 4 years. Same thing. We'll just see what happens. You know this game. Some of us been around for a minute. All we do is just watch. But what I had a question was, decriminalization, right? Like, what are the consequences these days? Things have gone down to like misdemeanors. It doesn't matter how much you grow, et cetera, et cetera. Can you touch base on that? That part.
On what's changed in the laws?
Yeah, in the laws in terms of like prosecution and you getting in trouble for how much you grow and mostly everything becoming misdemeanors and things like that.
Actually, there's an amazing resource for the details state by state. If you go to normal.org, NORML.org, you can click on your state and there's a rundown of exactly what's legal and not legal in your state. And, so that's actually the best resource of all out there for that. Gotcha. Certainly, I think trend-wise, everything's been trending down on prosecutions of cannabis, but we still have a lot of people that are in jail for nonviolent cannabis offenses, even though multiple governments and government agencies and states have all promised to get prisoners out of jail. Some have done better than others at achieving that. So there's really a lot of people still left in jail, as we all know, for cannabis. So it's crazy, right? Because here we are all working in the industry and, paying our rent and our mortgages and in here. And then there's people in there, in prison still. So all those people got to come out.
That is crazy that you could say that. But I experienced that, right? Personally.
Yeah.
I sat in the day room of a television, or I'm sitting on, I remember one time I was laying on my bunk and somebody came, at my cell. Hey man, come on, check out. So I'm, I get down, rush, go look to see what they talking about. And they're talking about cannabis. And they're showing these owners at their shops, everybody's, having a great time, enjoying themselves, smiling, having fun, got their little jars in their hands, displaying their weed. And I'm sitting in the cell for the same shit that they are doing, right?
Yeah.
The same identical stuff that they did.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here watching them on TV, enjoying life, and I'm locked up doing 6 years.
What a slap in the face, huh?
Exactly. And it's crazy that I can be sitting here passing cannabis around and us firing up, and there's people right now at this time of night, and the lights are out, probably shut down, and certain prisons that are a little more relaxed, they're in the day room or now watching TV before they go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Or if those that are in dorms versus those that are in cells. But if you're in your cell, you locked down, you ain't doing nothing but watching TV. Yeah. And you can sit here and watch us do what we do. The same thing that you did with the same product, but be sitting in prison. And for me, that's heartbreaking. It makes absolutely no sense. When cannabis was legalized, they should have opened the doors and released everybody immediately.
Yep.
And basically, as the what is that, the father in the Catholic Church, you've been absolved of your sins, you may go now. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much, yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what they should have did, and released
Virgil,
it.
you got to pay attention to one thing. If you look at who's still advocating to demonize cannabis, it's still the red states: Florida, Louisiana, Texas, and that's one element of it. The other element of this, even in the state that we in, certain forms of cannabis is still being demonized. Delta 8, Delta 10. So we have to understand like this whole demonization of cannabis and who's actually benefiting from it.
A lot has to do with, a lot has to do with ignorance. And ignorance has always played a huge role in why cannabis has taken so long to reach where it has. Not saying that corporate America as well, because I would split it 50-50. 50-50 corporate America, 50-50 ignorance, right? Because we know that back in the day that DuPont was a huge benefactor from cannabis being illegal and demonized. You know what I'm saying? Because they produced polyester. They produced the textiles. Now, if hemp was able to really be the viable product that it is, DuPont wouldn't even be who they are today.
Lot of people
you know what I'm saying? Who would be buying polyester if I could go get me a hemp shirt and some hemp pants? You know what I'm saying?
But so wait a minute, look. Here's what's so huge about what we're talking about. When you look at cannabis and hemp, it literally is healing the earth, healing the people. When you look at polyester, plastics, petroleums, it's literally polluting the earth and hurting the people inside of it. And like, I agree with you that people just don't have that education to understand how you ever going to put something synthetic in your body and heal yourself.
You're not.
You see what I mean?
And you have an endocannabinoid system, and a lot of people are still not aware of that. It doesn't matter how many times, and it goes, my opinion is they're not going to be able to control, because if they can control, people that are sick and the earth almost dying, because hemp is going to heal the earth. Cannabis heals humans. They're cousins. We know that, but a lot of people don't know that. They can't control the way that that their system's working right now, because with the earth dying and the humans sick, they assume we're going to depend on them for answers, but if you open up your mind and you try cannabis, you're going to think outside the box. You're going to be able to think of it at a different perspective and get out of that, demonized, way that we've been sucked in, thinking about cannabis and hemp. So.
I'm going to add something. It's going to be a whole different perspective. I like coming from left field.
Right
on. My left field perspective on cannabis is this, because I'm always going to talk about the streets. I have to. I'm always going to talk about the people, because from my experience and when I got in, what I think that's going to always make cannabis complicated and very complicated is that until it's truly in your hands and it's not a retail location, a distributor, a manufacturer, when people can start treating cannabis like baking a cookie in my home and being able to create a website and be able to serve it directly to the consumers with or without a distributor in the way, with or without licensing in the way, with or without any of that in the way, it's going to continue to be complicated, because cannabis has been life-changing for a lot of people. Cannabis, for the people who first started, whether they took risks or not, it was something that actually changed your life. Cannabis has now become working at Target, Walmart, or any other basic retail. That is nothing about that. Nothing about that is attractive. Nothing about that is attractive to where it has gone today. And I think that's an underlying and something that people will probably never touch on, but I'm not afraid to because of what I see and where I come from. And at the end of the day, I do recall and I saw people who could change their lives, whether it was reinvest and buy homes, buy properties, whatever it is, life-changing things, not just going to a regular job, which is what it's become now, and not having entities and people who are dictating how you can sell, where you can sell, et cetera, that will always be a problem because this existed far longer to where I can knock on my next door neighbor and do my thing. So at the end of the day, until that's why the industry is the problem, because it is a industry. It should be no different than literally me making food at home, starting my own website and being able to just sell to my people and not have to worry about prosecution, not have to worry about getting in trouble, not have to worry about any of that, not have to worry about calling somebody to deliver something to some distributor, somebody to go, none of that. None of that. And because cannabis has existed far too long and it's been in the hands of the people, it would always be challenged because it's been in the hands of the people. Now we're putting it in the hands of people who tell you what you can and cannot do. And when that has to end, until that ends, the competition will always exist.
You know, I had to pick up my icicle
That was
case,
really good, by the way.
and I got to reading the ingredients on it because I'm like, damn. Man, did this just have some shit up in here? Have Marco like damn. Hey y'all, shit. Hey man, y'all.
This is what
man.
Marco used
I had to
right
look. I was
here.
like, whoa, did we put something in it? God damn. Marco came. Hey brother, you know what I'm saying? You had me read my own pack. Like damn, I did.
like, what
Is that what? Yeah, you know. But hey, brother, I feel you on that one because I come from that. You know, I'm the streets people and always will be because that's where I came from. That's what I did. That's where the hustle for me started. I started $175 back in the day and turned it into what I have today. And that started from the streets of Compton. And those that know me and know my resume, being hustling in the 3 projects in Watts, moving from the east side all the way to now East LA. You see what I'm saying? The west side up into the valley. So this was something that I could feel Marco when he says that because we controlled the movement of what cannabis was about. Then we progressed because we talking late 80s when I got involved, right? And then we go into the 90s. So now I'm dealing with all the rappers, and this is when the Chronic era was at its height, right? You had Dr. Dre with the Chronic album. You had Eazy. You had all of the West Coast rappers, Snoop, and the rest of them out here talking about cannabis. And it's always been talked about. King T, MC8. These are some of the rappers back in the day, that they always talked about reefer. You even think about the Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious Five when they talk about the message, right? Yes. And they talk about, reefer, But anyway,
now you hit my generation.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Flash,
We always control the narrative around cannabis, and cannabis became even more popular through the hip hop era. We know back before us, it was popular in the jazz era. So that was my dad and my mom and his dad and his mom that understood that through that era. And then when it became our era, rap became the biggest thing going. And that's what a lot of the rappers did. Smoked weed, talked about smoking weed, had weed on the stage, had weed backstage on the bus and everything. And so that became our culture and way of life that popularized it in the way that we have now seen it evolve in today. But it takes organizations that exist that move it on a different level. They move it on a popular level that people could see, but there's a different level. There's a legislative level. There is a movement locally, a movement state, and a movement nationally. And all three of those things have to change in order for cannabis, like Marco said, to be where it truly should be.
It has to be like apples. It has to be like oranges. It has to be like me being able to go to my backyard right now and go plant something and still go slang it up the street if I want to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It has to be something I could barter with. It has to. It cannot be controlled by nobody, because the more you keep trying to do that, it can't be controlled by nobody, because there's always good and there's always bad, yin and yang. So when the dude that wants to do something right, there's going to be the dude that says it ain't going to be done that way. So if you want it to be done right, give it open field. Let it be an even playing field. It's not even when you could dictate who could get a license, what city you could be in, where you could pop up, what you could do. It's all this bullshit.
Or what to
You
do
understand
with
what I'm
the
saying?
plant.
Just being 100% honest with
Yeah.
y'all.
Hey,
Like
look,
I respect and
Yeah.
I respect where it's going. I understand
We have a
business.
long way to
I
go.
understand that type of shit, but it's kind of whack. Especially in whose hands it goes into. Virgil's a whole different story. I'm a whole different story. I know everybody in this game damn near. Okay? I know what people do, where they come from, what industries they came from before, who gave licenses, who they prioritized to give the license to, especially in places like West Hollywood. If you owned a business prior, then you're already paying taxes to the city, and you're hooking it. You're already part of them as a considered a business owner. Then we prioritize cannabis licenses to y'all. I pay attention to all that crap, but I'm gonna speak my lingo to my people who know what I'm talking about. I'm well aware. I'm well educated. I know what's going on. But the truth of the matter is, it ain't never gonna work out.
No.
It ain't never gonna work out until this shit turns into apples, oranges, strawberries, grapes, lettuce, tomatoes, nuts, all that.
Yeah.
If you try to control this shit like beer, and you try to control this shit like cigarettes, that's why the challenge exists.
Yeah.
Because them shits is harder to them shits really require manufacturing and laboratories and buildings and structures and all kinds of crap. But it don't require that to make a goddamn tomato. And it don't require that to make goddamn weed.
Marco, I
Grow
got a
it.
question though.
Everybody should grow their own.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
no,
Absolutely.
so that's my question. Like, if you look at, I think it should be an industrial medical market, and then I think it should be a craft market, because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
connoisseurs that know weed not gonna buy it from that big medical practice. They
Absolutely
want
not.
somebody
100%.
that has that living soil, that literally, they know what's.
You want your weed from somebody you know, bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Because how
Right.
many people
Come
have
on
bought
now.
weed from somebody they don't know back in the day? No, nobody never bought weed from somebody you did not know. And that still exists today. People come to my shop because they know me. People come to Marco, come to Keith. People reach out to you for information because they know you. Not because, they don't know you and they'll just, I'll take some weed from him, or I'll take, you do this because you know that person that you are buying from. You trust that person. You know their integrity. You know the quality that they have, and that is real huge in today's market. People, do like to walk into a shop, see a nice shop. They may do that one or two times, and then they're going back to the person that they know. Because 9 times out of 10, the weed that they going to go get is probably cheaper than from the person that they know, and probably 10 times better. And they just walked into the shop and paid $75 for an eighth, and it wasn't even as good as the dude they getting ready to go pay $45, $50, or even $25 for it. Yeah,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, Ian, I have one question as well. So we talked about your high, which you can hang your hat on. What would you say that you've experienced was the lowest point in this industry for you? And it doesn't have to be your lowest point, but the lowest point that you've seen in the industry, or it is your low point.
I don't have any low points. I am thankful every day to be part of this industry, and it's exciting. It's exciting, and I'm thrilled to be here every day. I don't have any low points personally. I think some of the really sad things that I've seen in the industry and happening here in California, unfortunately, is sort of the collapse of people owing people money and the accounts receivable that so many people have outstanding. I I think this is the sad low point for me is seeing people that are owed money and their employees suffer. Everybody suffers. And that's I think the low point.
That's a part of the industry nobody wants to talk
about.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the industry that, again, because like brother says, this is real cannabis news for real cannabis players who've been doing this shit for a really long time. So check it. That's the beauty of the past. You couldn't even play that game.
Exactly.
If you owe somebody money,
You get ran up on.
you pull up to your shop, Swiss cheese.
Yep.
And that was just a warning to let you know you could have had some holes up in you too.
No, real talk.
understand what
Real
I'm saying?
talk. Oh, the man.
It was
man.
different. So some of
Yeah,
us who
yeah,
come
yeah.
from that, it wasn't that play. And we tell you that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So that's the thing about hiding behind these little bullshit laws, you feel me?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that allows the
agree.
coward
Yeah.
to come out and feel superior.
Yeah.
Yes.
But rewind time and that coward don't even exist.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it would be off with his head, and I agree with you. And Marco brought a very valid point. You now have somebody who is not a true industry player, who came into this industry entitled, who was able to pay their way to the top, and then what they did is got into the business, and then business suffered because they weren't real players, and then decided to screw the person that actually gave them the product to even have their doors open to sell, to pay their rent, to pay their security, to pay their bills, and to buy their cars and house or whatever that they were living lavish off of, mismanaged things, and then now decided to bail out on the person who is struggling to make it by producing cannabis for you to have to sell in your shop. And I agree with Marco. Those are the cowards, because those people right there, one, should be banned from the industry.
I agree.
Should not, people should not sell product to them anymore. That I just feel that that's a part of the industry, unfortunately, that seems to rear his ugly head more than normal now. In where we are. It's unfortunate because I come from there where we shook hands. And if Ian said, here you go, and this is what I need back, I'm going to make sure Ian gets that back. No matter what I got to do to make sure Ian gets that back. Ian is going to get that back because, one, I shook Ian's hand. I looked him in the eye as a man, and we made an agreement. And he trusts that I would honor that agreement. That's a whole different level of doing business that no contracts ever existed back then. No,
You didn't need 'em.
we didn't do that. The contract was your word. Your word was your
100%.
bond. And now we have, I don't know what we have in this industry, because their word means absolutely nothing.
See, in the past, if you didn't have them 20 packs, we could take the watch,
Yeah.
a couple cars.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe if your chain worth something.
Hey, come on. Hey, come
You
on
feel me?
off of that.
Hey, you ain't got my packs, baby, but
Come off of that
But I'll
watch,
take
man.
it.
Go
I'll
on,
get
let me
it.
get them
take your
keys.
wife.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Go,
So-
yeah. Tell her
but
to
you
go.
gon-
To,
I'm
hey,
coming
tell her
up,
to
I'm
go and
getting
lift that
involved.
ring
Yeah,
up
yeah.
off her finger.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah.
And you know,
I'll play too many games these days.
And you know, those-
people don't
those-
know that there is a other side of this game.
yeah, there
And there
It
and
still
there are
should be
some
here.
people that come from that other side of the game that still circulate in this industry, and they will be nice and cordial and proper and even play that corporate game to function in this industry. But don't ever get it twisted. If you know what I'm saying, don't pay what you owe, that person ain't coming to see you. They don't give a damn what license you got, who is protecting you or you think is protecting you. You got to pay your bills, man. Everybody out here understands you got to pay your bills.
You know, I wanted to add to that. Like, I got into the industry because of real players. When I got in, it was 2010, 2011. Recently, I left Dr. Grintam LAX, and it was because of how poorly it was ran by the owner. And what some people don't know about this Dr. Grintam, it's a franchise, right? So it's the franchise, and it's the owner, and then it's the social equity holder, right? So the owner, the investor that came with the money, the way he ran, he hid behind contracts. You know, not everyone was taken care of, and I'm very passionate. I love to help, which is why I'm in the industry because cannabis, you can have a job, help people, make a difference, and you're still making money. You don't have that in many other industries. So when I experienced that, and I was manager, right? So I dealt with hearing everyone's side, and I would see the vendors that weren't getting paid, how it was affecting the whole company. And I would see the back end how there was ways to pay. It was just because they wanted to wait on the 30-day, you know, how you do the net 1430. They would try to get the 60. So when I saw that and I would try making a difference and I couldn't, I had to leave because integrity is everything. And seeing the way that not only the vendors but your whole team, you weren't taking care of your players, you weren't taking care of your vendors, yet you have such a prestigious name that you were hiding behind. Like I couldn't stay working there. So it grows, and for some reason those people still exist. And Dr. Green Thumb became now Suede, and not because that's how it planned it. You know, they did Dr. Green Thumb wrong, and you know it happened while he was out on tour. You know, and it sucks that it wasn't even talked about because a lot of people respect Dr. Green Thumb because he's very humble. Him as a person, you can, if he's in the store, you can approach him, take a picture, ask him questions. Doesn't have any bodyguards, and they don't take corporate money, you know. And that's one of the reasons why I think that brand sometimes you'll see a dispensary open and then close, because if it's not being ran right, they're gonna pull out. And it's really important because so many people get affected when the accounts don't get paid. And you know, I saw big brands that came in big and had to shut down because they're not getting paid. You know, but you have people that are hiding behind the net. I think that's what's killing a lot of the players in the industry and the legal market. The fact that you can go get product, you sell it out, and because you have that net contract, they're not going to pay until that net comes up, or you know, or even some brands don't end up getting paid.
That's crazy. Ian, what are your thoughts?
A lot of changes from the old days to the new days. Serious. Yeah, and you know, on both sides, from the legacy market to the new licensed market on the industry side of things, and then there's also been changes on the consumer side of things.
I have a question. Do you think there's a way so one of the things that I don't like about the industry is how we have an expiration date, right? And on cannabis, and I don't think cannabis has an expiration because THC converts to CBN, and CBN helps tremendously with sleep, and it's also antimicrobial. Right now, you can only get CBD if it's in a tincture or an edible, and it's a lot more expensive because I believe of the process to make it. When you can simply just let it degenerate, but because we have to put a shelf life on the product, when it hits that shelf life, people have to destroy cannabis, which breaks my heart because you're still destroying medicine. So is there a way for us to create a bill to change that, or do you think there's something we could do about that?
Sure, there's a process to change that. I think over time it probably will change because we all know it's kind of ridiculous.
It is. Yeah. It is.
So
I think it's past ridiculous. You know, I know farmers. You know, I've been up in southern Humboldt for, man, well over 30 years. And that's where our farm is. California Cannabis Farm is in southern Humboldt. And I've been in that community for a long time, circulating through there. It's kind of where I made my bones in southern Humboldt. That was my connect coming down to LA with my product. You know, with those hippies back in the early days. And I was the only young black kid that was circulating in that area. Because it was just a lot of other blacks were just afraid of the unknown of even going up there in those hills. You know, the word was you go up there, you're not coming back out. And some things have happened that way, depending on who you were and how you did business. But I was always a stand-up guy and did good business and became a part of the community. Now I own a home in that community. I have a farm in that community. I, you know, shop at the local market in town, and people know me, and you know, all of the places where I pay my bills at and stuff like that. So it's just a different vibe that we've had, and maybe I'm nostalgic, but I would love to see it remain that way. You know what I'm saying? Just the changes that we have seen in this industry, man, is I don't even know how to describe the changes that we have seen in this industry. And although I supported licensing, I now see it very different. And I think licensing is our problem.
Yeah.
I think
agree.
regulations is our problem.
Yeah.
This is something that, unfortunately, we as an industry, myself personally, asked for. But we were asking for it because we really wanted, it was more or less we wanted them to take us serious
Yeah.
about what we were doing.
Yeah.
I don't think we wanted regulations like this. I know we didn't want
No.
licensing like this, but we wanted basically to them to leave us the fuck alone. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
And the only way we thought we could get that was through acceptance, through licensing, and through regulations, right? But I don't think anybody in this industry, if you go back to all of us old school players that went pushing for this from day one with city council and everything else, this is not what we expected and what we really fought for and truly wanted within this industry. We wanted to be able to operate without prosecution. I think that was our biggest thing.
Yeah.
We wanted to be left the hell alone.
Yeah, and take your taxes, like take your taxes. We understand. For us to do right, you got to get taxed, you know what I'm saying? But don't overly tax. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like Virgil said, the licensing thing's ridiculous. But yeah, tax, because tax makes it right, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not here to just try to fully profit, The days is over.
No, absolutely. Ian, can you give us, as we close out, your thoughts, this industry, where we've come, where we're going. What are your thoughts with where the industry is and where it's going and where it should go?
Great question. We have come a tremendously long way. We really have. I think we have a long way to go. And I think many municipalities and states and whatnot are doing better than others at shaping the industry. But as well, I really resonate with your tomato comment because I say it all the time. Grow your own.
Yeah.
Just to try it.
Yeah.
And, because there is something magical. Somebody comes to your house for dinner and they bring you something that they bought at the grocery store. They bring you a pie they bought at the grocery store. Or they bring you a pie that they made.
It feels different.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Way
so different.
Like, it came from you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what it's about. That's why everybody should try and grow their own, because you can make a nice pie, you can make a nice cannabis plant, and when you share that and you bring some to your friends, it's that magic moment that you get when you
Yeah.
bring that homemade dessert to somebody's house.
They might have
So-
a green thumb they don't know about.
Yeah. I didn't know
agree.
I had a
It's
green
all
thumb.
Energy. I like small batch, because of the energy that goes into growing the cannabis. So I agree. I
Yeah.
think people should grow their
People
own.
should give it a shot. It's not too hard, and it's kind of fun,
You might go
and
15 feet.
and it's very satisfying
Yeah.
to consume something
Yeah.
that you grew, just like
Yeah.
your own tomatoes. I want to say that people should give that a try.
Yes.
Where is the industry growing? I hope in less of an industry fashion to the tomato concept.
Yes.
But I think that cannabis is expanding around the world. And here in the United States, we are absolutely leading the charge. California has once again turned up to be a pioneer, and yet again another industry. We made some mistakes. People are learning from our
We gotta learn
mistakes,
from them.
and that's good, right? And really, it's expanding across the world. I saw an article just today on Australia is making some moves, and as I mentioned earlier, Germany just legalized. So, whole parts of the world are opening up for cannabis, and people are understanding that it's a medicine, and that is the message that we got to keep talking about. And I say this all the time when I go into these new emerging markets overseas. I say, look what we did in California. We talked about earlier, up in San Francisco with the AIDS crisis. It was medicine right from that moment, right? And we talked about it and we dwelled on it. And it was part of the movement. And I tell people this in emerging markets all the time. Stay on that messaging. Cannabis is medicine. And that's the win right there.
Absolutely. Ian, man, it was a pleasure having you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on our show, man. This was like real exciting for us to have you on the show.
I was excited to
man,
run on down here.
Anytime you want to drop in, man, don't hesitate.
Cool.
Come down and see us. Give everyone the website again, the normal website, so that they are, for those that may have tuned in a little later and didn't get it, just throw that out there one more time.
Absolutely. So you should go to normal.org. That's NORML.org. Click on your state, and you can connect up with your local state chapter or your city chapter. So that's a great place to start. Then if you want to connect with me, you can go to my website, Rasman.com, RASSMAN.com. I have all my contact details there, including the calendar. It's the stocking list. Yeah. You know where I'm going to be.
To stalk him.
Right on.
All the time. Even when he tells me to see him there, I'm like, look, man, I know you'll be in Berlin. I can't meet you.
Hey, Ian, I got one last thing. How did you like the icicles?
That was great. That was good.
Hey, those icicles are heavy, y'all. Make sure y'all come in and grab a pack of these icicles. There's 5 in a pack.
Fire. It gave me inspiration.
Right.
It
sure
damn
did.
sure did. So
did.
y'all need to come in and get some inspiration. We got
It had
one.
that OG Kush taste, and it gave him inspiration.
Hey,
so.
we got that. We got this last beauty left. I'm gonna pass it on. But hey, come down and get your 5-pack of icicles at any one of our California Cannabis locations. California Cannabis, Crenshaw, 7415 Crenshaw Boulevard. California Cannabis, Melrose, 654 North Manhattan Place, Los Angeles, California, 90004. Or come down here in the beautiful Boyle Heights area at 1601 South Soto Street, Los Angeles, California, 90023, where we love to film our podcast. This is the home, Soto. So, hey, thank y'all for tuning in to Token Tuesday. I got Keith to my left. I got Marco and Ruby to my right. And I got Ian down there on the end that joined us. Man, a pleasure. Y'all tune in next time to Token Tuesday. Make sure you go down there and click that button. Yes, and subscribe to Token Tuesday. Every Tuesday we here. We'll see y'all. Peace out.
Token Tuesday, it's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we doing in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Token Tuesday, show you how to do it right. You need